नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैवं नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं उदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. I seek blessings from Radha and Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, my Shiksha Gurus, my mentors, and Vaishnavas, so that I can glorify Maharaja Amrisha and his devotional service. Yeah. Yeah. All living beings need uti, impetus to do karma. The motivation for materialistic people are fruitive activities, while motivation for devotee is devotional service and Krishna prema. For us, the kind of falastuti is shared on the screen. This is uti for us. It goes as anyone who chants this narration or even thinks of this narration about the activities of Maharaja Amrisha certainly becomes a pure devotee of Lord. By the grace of the Lord, those who hear about the activities of Maharaja Amrisha, the great devotee, certainly becomes liberated or becomes devotee without delay, become devotees without delay. These words are said by Sukadeva Goswami. It is kind of a blessings for us. If we attentively hear about Maharaja Amrisha, devotional, to be a devotee will be blessed for us. Yeah, the family tree of King Ambarisha. Vaivasvata Manu, who was son of sun god, had a son named Nabaga. Nabaga is brother of Ishvaku king, the king Ishvaku. Nabaga had Nabaga as a son. Nabaga lived for many years in the Gurukula. There are two kinds of brahmacharis. One, come back home and marry and be a grahastha. Whereas the others are Brahadvrata brahmacharis. These brahmacharis take strict vow of celibacy and directly from brahmachari they become sannyasis. Brothers of Nabhaga thought that this Nabhaga will not be returning, so they did not keep his share while sharing the property of their father. Nabhaga went to his father, narrated the dealings of his brothers, and his father said that no, this is a cheating. To do for your survival, for your livelihood, you can go to a sacrificial arena where an Angira dynasty is doing sacrifice or yajna, and if they will be on the 6th day, they will be doing mistake of two mantras. You can help them with that, and while leaving to heavenly planets, they will give you all the wealth accumulated to to you. So Nabaga does what his father told him to do. He went to the arena. He did whatever he helped them with two mantras, and then Angira dynasty, while leaving the arena place, they gave all the wealth accumulated from the yajna to Nabaga. Lord Shiva, disguised, came to claim the wealth of Nabaga. But after seeing Nabaga's honesty, he gave back all the riches to him. From Nabaga was born Amrisha, the most powerful and celebrated devotee. Yeah. Maharaja Amrisha was very fortunate personality. He achieved three rule of entire world consisting of 7 islands. He was so powerful that like he had all the wealth we could ever imagine, but he never considered that his opulence seriously. He never took his opulence seriously. He considered them as a dream, like a dream. When we wake up, is not like when we wake up, it goes away. Similarly, the wealth accumulated in this material world will go away once we leave our body. So he was an intelligent person, and he gave all his he did all the services to Krishna with all the wealth he got. Ashtavakra. If we see to the Bali Maharaj story, where Vamana Dev takes away all the possession of Bali Maharaj. Is it compulsory that all the devotees will have to go through the same phase? No. There are many kings in the uh, Puranas where they have not been, where they were no, no, they were not been they were very rich. They were like Maharaja Amrisha, Janaka Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and King Bharata. There are many other kings who were very opulent. Ashtavakra was a guru of Janaka Maharaj. Ashtavakra, and seeing the intimacy, and here Janaka Maharaj was a favorite student of Ashtavakra. Seeing the intimacy and the friendship between Guru Shishya, all other uh, all other disciples of Ashtavakra got jealous, and they started thinking that just because Janaka Maharaj is very wealthy, that's the reason Ashtavakra is favoring him. But yeah, favoring them. It happened that in one day where Ashtavakra was giving his pravachan, where Janaka Maharaj was sitting at the last, being humble, at the last row, being humble, and a soldier came running, and started shouting that king, the palace is on fire. Then the Janaka Maharaj says to that soldier, please go outside and stand. I will attend you once my pravachan is done. And he does that. It's exactly like that. Once the pravachan is done, he goes out and he performs his duty. Yeah, on the other day, uh, when there is a small boy came running towards the Ashtavakra's uh, class, and she started saying, all the monkeys are creating havoc of brahmachari's clothes. Most of the brahmacharis stood up and they immediately went to save their clothes. After recovering their clothes, they came back to school. They came back to class. Ashtavakra, addressing to them, said, here's the king, whose palace full of wealth and his dear ones was on risk, still did not leave the class. Why you people who claim to be renounced at once left the class for a piece of clothes? The question is not about what you possess, it's about how you possess. These saintly kings perform duty without getting attached to the material opulence. Ancient kings were saintly. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम इमं राजर्षयो viduhu Rajarshi. Prabhupada translates it as saintly kings. Raja is king, Rishi is sage. If you observe this, these are two opposite words. Raja is an enjoyer and Rishi is a controller. Raja is a controller of the outer world, while Rishi is the controller of the inner world. Raja is an enjoyer, Rishi is a renouncer, and he is completely in controlling his senses. So while if these two attributes of controlling outside world and inside mind is being in one person, that person is called as Rajarishi. The point is that they are kings. These kings are the kings who are not power hungry. They are not here to stamp their authority over others. They have a purpose in ruling our outer world to spread Krishna's message to their subjects. This is a beautiful picture which was done by our Bhaktin Kavita. This narrates the sloka of 9.4.18 to 20. Maharaja Amrisha did not take his opulence very seriously. He considered Sarvaloka Maheshwara. Whatever is there is everything belongs to Krishna. So he used everything as in a service of Krishna. This is actually a real renunciation. Yeah, the picture illustration, I have numbered it. I will just be reading on what he's to do. It says, Savai Mana Krishna Padhara Vindayor. Maharaja Amrisha always engaged his mind upon the lotus feet of Krishna. This is number one. Number two, Vacham Sivai Kunta Gunana Varnane. His words in describing the glories of the Lord. Number three, Karo Harir Mandira Marjanadisho. His hands in cleaning the temple of the Lord. Number three. Number four, Shrutim Chakrashuta Satkato the his ears in hearing the words of spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. Number five, he engages his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna. Number six, he engaged his senses in touch in the body of all the Vaishnavas. Number seven, he engages his sense of smell in smelling the offered tulsi. Number eight, he engages his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasada. Number nine, he engages his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord. Number 10, his head in bowing down before the Lord. And all his desires was in serving Krishna round the clock. The clock is in between. Maharaja Amrisha never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all the senses in the service of Krishna. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevaya Bhakti Ruchate. That is said in Chaitanya Charanamrita 19.170. There is no need for special endeavor for controlling the senses. For a non-devotee, controlling senses is needed. But for a devotee, controlling senses is already done because his senses are already in service of Krishna. A devotee considers this whole material world to be spiritual because he can use each and every material in service of Krishna. The difference between Prabhupada quotes, the difference between spiritual world and material world is the service mentality. In teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while instructing to Sanatana Goswami, says, Maharaja Amrisha attained perfection in devotional service by doing all Navavidha Bhakti, while Parikshita Maharaj by Shravanam, by hearing. He was liberated by hearing. Sukadeva Goswami by chanting. Prahlad Maharaj by remembering. Lakshmi by Pada Sevana. And King Prithu by worshipping. Akrura by praying. Hanuman by being servant of Lord Rama, and Arjuna by being friend of Krishna, and Bali Maharaj by offering whatever he had in service of Krishna. Maharaj Amrisha's activities. He performed yajna, keeping Brahmanas happy. In one of the slokas, it is been stated that Brahmanas of Maharaja Amrisha looked just like demigod. They were as gloriously looking like a demigod. Maharaja Amrisha had kept his Brahmanas so happy. He took advice from Brahmanas who were faithful devotees of Lord. Yeah, Prabhupada in his purport writes that If a devotee, if a Brahmana is not a devotee, then he should not be consulted for any advice. In general, if we see any system of spiritual organization to be socially effective, there has to be union of two classes. One is Brahmana and the other is Kshatriya. If we look at Buddhism, Buddhism was a religion of renunciates. Buddha himself renounced, his followers renounced. It did not have that social influence till it was adopted by a king, till it was adopted by King Ashoka. King Ashoka adopted it, his family adopted Buddhism, and then his kingdom adopted Buddhism. Then he sent missionaries to spread Buddhism. The same is case of Christianity. In Christianity, for 2 centuries, it was on and off. But when Roman rulers adopted Christianity, it had a good spiritual growth. Spiritual culture to come in light. Similarly, if God-conscious Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are united, spiritual subculture goes very well. Citizens are always chanting, they never desired heavenly planets. Yata Raja Tata Praja. My mother used to tell that please behave properly so that your younger sister who is watching you will learn from you. She used to use the metaphor of a small boat following big boats. So leader should be strict on himself or herself because common people like me can follow those great ones. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.21. Maharaja Amrisha trained his subjects in such a way that citizens were not even wanting to have pleasure of heavenly planets. As Lord Shiva says to Parvati that heavenly planet, liberation, and hellish planet are all same for devotee because they are completely into service mentality. Everything is spiritual word for a devotee. Supreme Lord gave him a disc by seeing his unalloyed devotion. Seeing his unalloyed devotion, Sudarshana Chakra was being provided, his own weapon was being provided to Maharaja Ambarish. King observed Ekadashi and Dwadashi with his equally elevated queen for 1 year to please Lord Krishna. Prabhupada emphasized here on equally elevated queen. Here he says Prabhupada in his purport uses Tulya Shilya with respect to queen of Maharaja Ambrisha, which means as a qualified king, as qualified as the king. Yeah. When we speak about woman empowerment in the modern world, we make a woman empowered materially. But unless and until a woman take up spirituality, she is not empowered. True woman empowerment is when she is given spiritual knowledge. If it is said, it's an African proverb that says, if you educate a man, only an individual has been educated. But if you educate a woman, the whole generation has been educated. So Krishna consciousness goes beyond woman empowerment, that is soul empowerment. It ignores the bodily designations. It is that powerful. He took bath in Yamuna, worshipped Lord Hari in Madhuvin, and did charity before breaking the fast. It has been stated in slokas that King Amrisha gave 60 crores of cows, and with it, the horns were covered, were gold plated, and the hooves were silver plated. The king first fed all the brahmanas with lavish food, and then he was about to break his fast with their permission. King Durvasa Muni appears as an uninvited guest. King Amrisha King Amrisha respectfully received Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, after accepting the invitation to eat there, went to take bath uh, at Yamuna River at noontime because he was absorbed in meditating on Brahman. He did not come very soon. So, since the Parayana time was passing, King Amrisha drank little water after taking permission of Brahmanas, after taking advice of Brahmanas. According to Brahmanical opinion, drinking water may be accepted as eating and also not eating. After he drank some water, King Amrisha, while meditating on Krishna, waited for Durvasa Muni. He welcomed this Durvasa Muni well with all the respect. But Durvasa Muni, with his mystic power, could understand that Amrisha had already drunk water without his permission. Hungry Durvasa Muni, his body started trembling, his face curved, and his eyebrows crooked. Angrily started chastising Amrisha Maharaj, who stood in front of him with folded hands. He said, "See, this cruel man, he's not even a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Being proud of his opulence, he considered himself as God and he has transgressed the law of religion." If we see, Durvasa Muni is always known for his anger. In previous classes where Saitosh Prabhu covered that Durvasa Muni gave curse to Lord Indra. And in the second instances, according to followers of Swaminarayana Hinduism, Narayana took birth as the saint of Saint Swaminarayana due to the curse of Durvasa Muni. Then Shakuntala, when it comes to Shakuntala, she was being cursed to that Dushyanta will forget her just because she neglected to serve Durvasa Muni attentively, and because she was thinking of the Dushyanta. Yeah, why is he always so angry? Why is he known for his anger? There might be a good reason. Yes, that good reason is he was born of Shiva's anger. Shiva deposited his anger in the womb of Anasuya, the wife of Atri Muni. Dura Vasa. Dura means far. Vasa means stay away. Vasa means, sorry, stay. The meaning of Durvasa is one who is difficult to stay with, to stay away. After chastising Maharaja Amrisha, he was not satisfied. Finally, to punish Maharaja Amrisha, he took bunch of he uprooted bunch of hair from his head and then created a demon that resembled looking like a blazing fire to punish Maharaj Amrish. This demon, with his trident in his hand and making the surface of the earth tremble, came in front of Maharaja Amrisha. But the king, upon seeing him, was not at all disturbed, did not even move slightly from his position. But by the previous order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sudarshana Chakra came into the picture and immediately burned the demon to ashes to protect King Amrisha. I collect Raghuveer Prabhuji's class. In his class, he often asks us, "What do you mean what do you mean when you say Krishna can do anything?" The answer is simple. It means that Krishna can do anything. In material world, if there is a fire, we need water to vanquish it, or something which is cooler. But if we notice here, Sudarshana Chakra destroys the fire demon by burning it to ashes. This is against material law. There is no difference between the Lord and his name, his qualities, his weapons, and etc. etc. Because here Sudarshana Chakra is representing Krishna. Upon seeing that his own attempt being failed, Sudarshana Chakra was moving towards him. Durvasa got frightened. He began to run in all directions. He entered the Sumera mountain and asked help from all the rulers of three worlds, but no one could help him. If we observe the condition, just the slide behind, where Yeah, where Ambrisha Maharaj did not even move slightly when that fire demon uh, came in front of him. While Durvasa Muni was frightened, his hand trembling, he started running as hard as he could. This, yeah, this is the this. Why is this? My mother, whilst reading Sade Sati stories of Shanidev, she used to say after every story she used to tell one thing: परिस्थिति मानव को दास बनाता है. There is something called paristhiti, the outer situation, and there's something called manasthiti, the inner situation, the in the situation of your mind. Here, if you see the situation of Maharaja Ambrisha and Durvasa Muni are both same. They are both in danger, endangering their life. But Maharaja Ambrisha's mind was not disturbed. He was not in anxiety. While Durvasa Muni was disturbed and frightened, he was trembling. So the mind here, if we see that Paristhiti might be different, but Paristhiti might be same, but Manasthiti is different. Yeah, yeah. Again, coming back to the story, he finally because this happened because Maharaj King Ambrisha had taken shelter of holy name, and so he was out of and he had no conditions of how Krishna will protect him. Krishna might protect us by killing us. Krishna might protect us by saving us. Krishna might protect us by taking away everything, and Krishna might protect us by giving us everything. It is his wish. Devotees never give conditions to Lord, and he is that's therefore he was out of anxiety. He knows no matter what, Krishna will protect him. Yeah, King Ambarisha. But coming back to the story, King Ambarisha, while running, he came to approach Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, yeah, Lord Brahma and asked protection from Sudarshana Chakra. Lord Brahma refused to help him as he stated that with a blink of an eye, Lord Vishnu can like vanquish the entire universe, including my residence. So, and I'm a surrendered soul unto him. So I'll not be able to help him. So Lord Durvasa Muni uh, went to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said the same, saying that Supreme Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Director, and he said, but he redirected Durvasa Muni to Lord Narayana. Lord Durvasa Muni fell at the feet of Lord Narayana and asked again and again, asked protection from Sudarshana Chakra with asking permission, asking forgiveness for offending a devotee. Lord Narayana says, uh, the supreme and it goes like this: the supreme personality of Godhead said, "Oh, aham bhakta paradino. I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the course of their hearts. What to speak of my devotees? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. O best of Brahmanas, without saintly persons from whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulence. Since pure devotees give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their lives simply to serve me without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next, how can I give up such a devotee at any time? As a chaste woman brings their gentle husband under control by service, the pure devotee who are equal to everyone, completely attached to me in the core of the heart, bring me under their full control. Founder acharyas of the sampradayas like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Supreme Personality of Godhead is the control of devotees, pure devotees, and he is the control of his pure devotees. Why is this? Because devotees are anya abhilashita shunya. They have no other desires than to serve Krishna. Lord Narayana could not excuse a person who offended a Vaishnava. To be to get relief from such an offense, one should go and submit to the Vaishnava whom he or she had offended. Therefore, uh, there is no other way for there is no other way to for such for to escape from such an offense. Lord Narayana advises Durvasa to go to Maharaja Ambrisha and beg his pardon. By order of by our order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, Durvasa Muni, uh, uh, Vishnu, so Durvasa Muni immediately went and fell at the feet of Maharaja Ambrisha. Maharaja Ambrisha, being naturally very meek and humble, very humble, meek and humble, felt shy and ashamed as Durvasa Muni was at his feet. He began to offer prayers to Sudarshana Chakra to spare the lives of Durvasa Muni. Devotees are always forgiving, be it Maharaja Ambarisha or Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj asks boon from Lord Narsimha for salvation of his father as a benediction, where his father had had done many multiple attempts to kill Prahlada Maharaj. And again Lord Jesus was crucified, but still he prayed for the one who crucified him, that please father, please I beg, please forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. Forgiving offenders is is very natural for a devotee. They can even pray for the offenders. While praying to Sudarshana Chakra, he glorified Sudarshana Chakra. The essence goes like this: Sudarshana Chakra is the glance of Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he creates the entire material world. Sudarshana Chakra, which is the origin of creation, is most dear to Lord, has thousands of spokes. The it is the killer of all other. It is the killer of prowess of all weapons, the killer of darkness, and the manifester of the prowess of devotional service. It is a means of establishing religious principle, and it is the killer of all irreligious activities, adharma. King Amrish, without Sudarshana Chakra's mercy, the whole universe cannot be maintained. Therefore, Sudarshana Chakra is employed by Supreme Personality of Godhead. King Ambrisha prays to Sudarshana Chakra again and again to spare the life of Durvasa Muni. In exchange, he once says that please take away all the in exchange of all the pious deeds me and my forefathers have done. In exchange of that, kindly spare the life of Durvasa Muni. Sudarshana Chakra, being appeased by the prayers, refrained from killing Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni glorified Ambrisha Muni by thanking him again and again. King Amrisha, this is the current scenario. King Amrisha was standing waiting for Durvasa Muni to serve him from 1 year. He did not he did not eat anything for 1 long year. And yeah, he just survived on some water. See the elevated condition of elevated consciousness of uh, King Amrisha. The level of King Amrisha is not unconceivable for me. King Amrisha fell at the feet of Durvasa Muni and asked him to have food, and with all respect. And then he fed him lavishly. After having his food, Durvasa Muni requested King Amrisha, Amrisha, please have food now. Durvasa Muni, after blessing, left the palace. After that, King Amrisha fed himself prasadam. Only after that. Because of his advanced position of devotional life, Amrisha, who had no interest in material life, took Vanaprastha after dividing the property after dividing his property to equally qualified sons. He went to one forest and focused his mind on lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva. Here, if we see, Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying King Amrisha, who took shelter of the Lord in Lord's name. Sukadeva Goswami praising here is very interesting because Sukadeva Goswami was exactly as Amrisha and totally opposite to Amrisha. How was he opposite? Amrisha was a Grahastha, Sukadeva Goswami was Brahmachari. So, Amrisha had a beautiful palace, clothes, uh, incredible offerings for Krishna. He used to eat prasadam with his family, while Sukadeva Goswami did not even have a house. He used to beg alms to have, used to only have milk, and used to go beg that alms for milk. And couldn't stay there once he was done having his prasadam. He he did not even bother to wear clothes because he did not feel the need. He was totally detached. His mind was completely under the service of Krishna. If we can see here, one is having a palace and other is sleeping under the tree. They're exactly the same in only one context. That is, they have a consciousness which is focused to Lord Krishna. Their consciousness matches. If we go back to the Durvasa Muni's condition and Paristita Maharaj's Amrisha Maharaj's condition, their Paristiti was same and mindset, Manasthiti was uh, different. Here, if you say one is having a palace, other is under sleeping under the tree. One is having all the opulences and other is not having any opulences. So even after that, the Paristiti is different, but Manasthiti is same. If we see the story of if we see the King Parikshit story Katha, he was cursed and he was about to die in 7 days. So immediately he heard he renounced and he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. He would have given same efforts to reverse the curse, but he did not even attempt to do that because a devotee never attempts to change a parasthiti unless until it is in the service of Krishna. He changes Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj only focused on in building his manasthiti. Yeah, because for a devotee, their mind should be always in the service. Their mind should be always focused in the service of Krishna. Hence, hence the glories of King Amrisha, who had taken shelter of Lord in the Lord's name. So anything was possible for him. Nothing was impossible for him. Hare Krishna. I thank Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful translation and purport to guide me through the story. Hare Krishna.